What happens when a hospital CEO goes undercover and stumbles upon a nurse sobbing in the supply closet after being blamed for a mistake she didn't make? Dr. Evelyn Reed is not just a name on an executive door, but the CEO who rose through the ranks, holding tight to one core belief: that a hospital should be a sanctuary built on trust and unwavering care. For years, her network was a beacon of healing, a source of pride. But lately, a different kind of tension had settled over the sterile halls. The numbers, usually a source of confidence, told a grim story. Patient satisfaction scores were dipping like a flatlining heart monitor, and the lifeblood of any hospital, its nurses, were leaving in unprecedented numbers. The official reports landed on Evelyn's desk, neat and clinical, but they couldn't capture the anonymous whispers, the desperate emails hinting at burnout, backbiting, and a crushing weight of workplace tension. She called in department heads, the people meant to be her eyes and ears on the ground. They offered explanations, smooth and rehearsed. Just bumps adjusting to new protocols, they'd say. Staff resistance to necessary changes. Plausible answers designed to soothe. But Evelyn felt a knot tightening in her gut. The data didn't add up. The feeling didn't add up. She knew, with a certainty that chilled her, that the real story wasn't in the polished reports. It was on the floors, in the break rooms, behind the closed doors of patient rooms. To understand the sickness within her own institution, she had to become part of it. She had to shed the CEO's suit and walk amongst the very people her system was failing. Her mission, to go undercover, not just anywhere, but to the floor where the complaints were loudest, the tension thickest. She would become just another face in the crowd. A new administrative assistant, invisible, watching, and waiting for the truth to reveal itself. The transformation was stark. Dr. Evelyn Reed, the woman who navigated boardrooms in power suits, stood before a mirror in ill-fitting blue scrubs, a standard-issue ID clipped to her chest, and a surgical mask obscuring half her face. The polished facade was gone, replaced by the anonymity of the uniform. She wasn't the CEO anymore. She was just new staff, blending in, invisible. Stepping onto the general surgery floor felt like entering a different world entirely. The air hummed with a frantic energy, the constant beep of machines, the rattle of carts, the clipped urgency of hurried footsteps. It was a stark contrast to the hushed, controlled environment of the executive suite. Evelyn's eyes, sharper now without the weight of her usual identity, swept across the scene. The faces she saw weren't the calm, professional countenances from the hospital brochure. They were etched with exhaustion, foreheads creased with worry lines, eyes darting between tasks. She overheard snappy exchanges, frustrations boiling over in muttered tones that instantly ceased when someone important walked by. There was a palpable sense of pressure, a tight wire stretched precariously thin. Then she saw her. Amidst the chaos, a nurse with kind eyes, despite the visible fatigue around them, was leaning in close to a patient in a wheelchair, her voice low and comforting, explaining the discharge steps with patience Evelyn hadn't seen elsewhere. This was Nurse Sophia. She moved with practiced grace, attending to the small details, offering a gentle touch. Evelyn watches Sophia from a short distance. Another staff member, pushing a cart, passes Evelyn quietly. As she passes, she says in a low voice, barely a whisper to Evelyn, "Hey, new here? Just a heads up, try not to fall behind." The new supervisor's been on everyone's back. Evelyn's eyes subtly acknowledged the warning, then returned to observing Sophia. The warning was brief, casual, but it landed with the weight of true insider struggle. The supervisor's shadow loomed even before she met them. Evelyn nodded, the simple mask hiding her reaction, her mind already cataloging this first, critical piece of the puzzle. She wasn't just observing the system's breakdown. She was walking right into the heart of it. Evelyn settled into the rhythm of the floor, her tasks as an administrative assistant, mundane enough to be overlooked, granting her the perfect cover to observe. She found herself watching Sophia frequently. The nurse was a whirlwind of quiet efficiency, meticulously checking charts, programming 4 pumps with focused concentration, moving between patient rooms with a gentle purpose. She was the epitome of the dedicated caregiver Evelyn believed defined her hospital. But the dedication was constantly under siege. A sharp voice slices through the air. Dr. Evans, a physician known for his brusque manner. He approaches Sophia, not asking, but demanding information, cutting her off mid-sentence as she tries to explain a patient's status. He barks orders, his tone dismissive, before striding away, leaving Sophia to quickly regather her thoughts and return to her task, a flicker of frustration crossing her face before being quickly masked. This wasn't a one-off. Evelyn saw it happen again and again. Evelyn is now near the nurse's station, pretending to organize papers, subtly listening to a group of nurses nearby. Nurse 1 in a low voice to another nurse says, "Another mandatory meeting? What's the point?" Nurse 2 sighs, "Just more talk about efficiency scores. Like we're not already killing ourselves." Honestly, sometimes it feels like management only cares about the numbers, not us. Evelyn's head subtly inclines, processing the comment. The frustration wasn't isolated to Sophia. It was a quiet undercurrent on the entire floor. Then, the atmosphere shifted abruptly. A call echoes down the hall, urgent, charged. The loud voice from down the hall calls out, "Nurse Sophia? Stat. Patient room, 312. Medication error." Sophia's head snaps up, her eyes wide with alarm. Evelyn watches as Sophia rushes towards the room. Dr. Evans followed closely behind, his face tight with annoyance. Evelyn followed discreetly, her heart pounding. Peeking into the room, she saw Dr. Evans standing over the patient, his voice loud and accusing. Dr. Evans' voice booms. "What is this, Nurse Sophia? Look at the dosage. This is unacceptable. A critical error." Evelyn knew what she had seen earlier. The order had been rushed, the writing on the chart ambiguous, the physician clearly distracted. Yet the blame, deafening and absolute, landed squarely on Sophia. Other staff members at the nurse's station froze, their faces a mix of sympathy and grim resignation. A silent wall went up. Nobody stepped forward. The tension was suffocating. The air crackled with unspoken alliances and the harsh reality of how easy it was to become a scapegoat. Sophia stood there, shaken, unprotected, the weight of the accusation visibly crushing her. Evelyn felt a surge of something hot and fierce. This wasn't just about numbers anymore. This was personal. These were people, and her people were hurting. The air around the nurse's station seemed to vibrate with the aftermath of the accusation. Sophia stood absolutely still for a moment, the color drained from her face, the earlier warmth in her eyes replaced by a crushing despair. The other nurses avoided her gaze, a silent, uncomfortable tableau of a team unable or unwilling to intervene. Evelyn watched, her administrative task forgotten, her focus locked on Sophia. Without a word, Sophia quietly turned and walked away from the station, quickly slipping through a side door into a small supply room. Evelyn hesitated for only a split second, the CEO's instinct merging with the undercover assistant's need to see the full picture. She followed, moving as silently as possible. The sound hit her before she even opened the door, the unmistakable, heartbreaking sound of someone trying to hold back tears and failing. Evelyn paused, listening from just outside. Muffled sobs, gasping breaths. Sophia's voice choked with tears. Sophia muttering, It wasn't my mistake. The order, it was illegible. Why? Why didn't anyone stand up for me?" Evelyn's face, hidden behind the mask, her eyes conveyed deep empathy and growing anger. More gasps, then the sound of a phone being held close. Sophia was trying to make a hush call. Sophia's voice, strained, trying to be quiet, but fragments are audible. Sophia, whispering into the phone. I don't know how much longer I can do this, Mom. I just don't know if I can." Evelyn is outside the door, grim-faced, listening to the profound weariness and despair in Sophia's voice. Then, shift focus immediately to the main hallway outside the supply room. Just yards down the hall, near the nurse's station, Evelyn overheard Dr. Evans speaking to the supervisor, his voice low, casual, completely devoid of concern. Look, just tell admin it was the nurse again. Standard procedure, right? They'll believe you. It's easier that way. The casual cruelty of the words hit Evelyn with the force of a physical blow. It wasn't just a mistake, it was a pattern. A system of blame designed to protect the powerful at the expense of the most vulnerable. She had heard the truth in the sobbing. She had heard it in the resignation. And now, she had heard the architects of the problem confirming their malice. The time for observing was over. The moment of truth had arrived. The sight in the dimly lit supply room tore at Evelyn. Sophia was huddled in the corner, shoulders shaking, face buried in her hands, the quiet sobs echoing heartbreakingly in the small space. This was the human cost of the system she had created, the dedication she relied on, now reduced to despair in a closet. Evelyn steps into the supply room. The space is cramped, lined with shelves of medical supplies. Evelyn, softly, her voice gentle but steady. Sophia, are you okay? Sophia jumps, startled, quickly wiping her eyes. She looks up, seeing the new administrative assistant. She responds, voice trembling. Oh, it's just me. I just needed a minute. Hey, it's okay. Take your time. Evelyn moves closer, not intrusively, placing a hand lightly on a shelf nearby. She speaks in a low, comforting tone, still playing the role. I saw what happened out there. What Dr. Evans said. That didn't look right. Sophia hesitates, looking uncertain. The ingrained culture of silence makes her wary. The order was handwritten, it was hard to read. I double-checked, but he just needed someone to blame. The pain and frustration are clear. Evelyn nods slowly, processing this, quietly encouraging her to continue. Blame? Does that happen often? Sophia looks down, picking at the cuff of her scrubs. Her voice is barely a whisper now. More than you'd think, she responds. Easier to point a finger than look at, well, other things. It's just hard when you try your best, and it's not enough, and no one backs you up. Evelyn's expression hardens slightly beneath the mask. She has the confirmation she needs. She looks out the door window, towards the main area, a new resolve hardening her gaze. Evelyn felt a cold clarity settle over her. She looked from Sophia's tear-streaked face to the door. The doctor, the supervisor, the system of fear and blame. It was all connected, and she had to expose it right now. Evelyn turns back to Sophia, a different energy in her posture. Come on, Sophia. Let's step outside. There are some things that need to be cleared up. Sophia looks confused, hesitant, but something in Evelyn's quiet confidence makes her follow. They walk out of the supply room. Evelyn led Sophia back into the main area, her focus now solely on finding Dr. Evans and the supervisor. She spotted them near the break room, still talking, oblivious. Evelyn and Sophia approached the break room. Dr. Evans and the supervisor turn, looking annoyed at being interrupted by the new admin assistant and the nurse they just blamed. The supervisor says curtly, "Can we help you, Evelyn, is it? We're discussing a disciplinary matter." Dr. Evans, smirking slightly at Sophia. "Yes, nurse. Something you should probably be thinking about." Evelyn steps forward, placing herself between Sophia and the two. Her voice is no longer gentle. It's sharp, commanding, and cuts through their smug dismissal. "No, we're discussing accountability and patient safety, and how neither of you seems to understand what that means." The doctor and supervisor looked taken aback by her tone. Then, with deliberate movement, Evelyn reached up and slowly, dramatically, removed her surgical mask. Her face, the face they only knew from formal portraits and the occasional network-wide memo, was revealed. Her eyes, no longer hiding, locked onto theirs. She unclipped her generic ID badge and held it up, letting it drop to the floor with a small clatter. The doctor and supervisor's eyes widen in disbelief and sudden, dawning horror. Evelyn stands tall, her posture radiating absolute authority. "I'm not just your new admin. I'm Dr. Evelyn Reed. I'm the CEO, and I've seen and heard enough." The silence in the break room was deafening, broken only by the hurried breaths of Dr. Evans and the supervisor. Their faces, moments ago filled with smug confidence, were now masks of shock and fear. Dr. Evelyn Reed stood before them, no longer the anonymous assistant, but the undeniable power at the top of the hierarchy, her presence filling the small room. Sophia, still shaken, simply stared, disbelief warring with a fragile flicker of hope. Evelyn's gaze is unwavering, steely. Dr. Evans, Supervisor Thompson, come with me. Now. Evelyn led them away with brisk, purposeful strides, the two subordinates scrambling to keep up, looking terrified. Other staff members stop, stare, and whisper as they pass. The immediate repercussions wouldn't wait. Evelyn didn't retreat to the quiet of the executive floor. She needed to address the floor, right here, right now. A ripple of shock and anticipation spread through the unit as word the CEO was on the floor and had revealed herself spread like wildfire. Within minutes, staff members, nurses, technicians, orderlies, those not currently in critical care, gathered near the nurses' station, a nervous energy humming through the unexpected assembly. Evelyn, voice projects, clear and authoritative, cutting through the murmurs. Listen up, everyone. My name is Dr. Evelyn Reed, and as you now know, I haven't been your new administrative assistant simply assisting. I've been observing, listening, and what I have seen today, what I have heard on this floor and from your colleagues, is unacceptable. Her gaze swept over the tired faces, the employees who had been working under a cloud of pressure and fear. This wasn't just about one nurse, one doctor. It was systemic. We are launching an immediate, formal investigation into the culture on this floor, into leadership practices, and critically, into how patient safety errors are reported and addressed. Effective immediately, we will conduct a thorough review of all recent staff complaints and our current error reporting protocols. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. Then, her voice became sharper, leaving no room for doubt. Let me be perfectly clear. What I witnessed today, placing blame unfairly, creating an environment where staff feel unsupported and fearful of repercussions for honest reporting, will not be tolerated. Scapegoating is not a solution. It is a pathway to critical errors and a broken team. There's a few discreet nods of agreement, a silent fist clench from one nurse, defiant glares from others who might be part of the problem. She didn't need to name names publicly just yet, but her next statement left no uncertainty about the fate of those responsible for creating this toxic environment. Dr. Evans and Supervisor Thompson have been suspended pending the outcome of this investigation. Relief, fear, and shock rippled through the gathered staff. Their perceived untouchables were suddenly facing swift justice. Evelyn pressed on, offering a lifeline. We are also opening confidential channels, starting today, for anyone on this floor or anywhere in the network to report incidents of undue blame, bullying, or any concerns about workplace conditions without fear of retaliation. Your voices need to be heard. She then singled out the person who had, unknowingly, been the catalyst for this entire upheaval. Evelyn turns slightly, her gaze finding Sophia in the crowd. And finally, I want to address Nurse Sophia directly. The crowd's eyes turn to Sophia. She stands a little straighter, the exhaustion still visible, but a flicker of strength returning. Nurse Sophia, your professionalism, your dedication to patient care, and your integrity in a deeply challenging moment today were observed and are profoundly appreciated. You represent the very best of what this hospital should be. Thank you. A few tentative claps start, quickly joined by more, building into a wave of applause from many of the staff. Some staff members nod approvingly at Sophia. Sophia looks overwhelmed, tears welling up again. But this time, they seem to be tears of relief. The applause wasn't just for Sophia. It was for the hope of change Evelyn's actions represented. The battle wasn't over, but the first, crucial blows against the culture of fear had been struck. The immediate shockwaves of the CEO's reveal and the swift actions began to subside, leaving a fragile quiet in their wake. Dr. Evelyn Reed, having delivered the necessary announcements, didn't retreat. Her next step wasn't another directive from on high, but a simple, profound act of sitting down. She wanted to hear, truly hear, the voices that had been suppressed for so long. In a quiet corner of the floor, away from the immediate bustle, Evelyn sat with Sophia and a few other nurses, the bedrock of the hospital, the people whose tireless work often went unnoticed or, worse, was exploited. The initial conversation was hesitant, a lifetime of ingrained caution making them wary of speaking openly, even to the CO, who seemed different. Evelyn, voice gentle, encouraging, "Please, this isn't a meeting. There are no notes being taken that will go in anyone's file. I'm off the clock as CEO for this moment. Just tell me what it's really like." Evelyn leans in, her posture open, genuinely listening. A nurse takes a deep breath and slowly starts speaking. It's the pressure, constant, and you cover for everyone. For short staffing, for doctors who don't write clear orders, for mistakes that aren't even yours because it's easier to just fix it than file a report that goes nowhere, or worse. Other nurses nod in silent agreement. The stories began to surface, quietly at first, then with a building wave of shared experience. Tales of working double shifts with no notice, of outdated equipment, of raising concerns only to have them dismissed as complaining. The hidden burden of taking the fall to avoid confrontation, the emotional exhaustion that came with constantly bracing for the next accusation. Sophia was listening intently, her expression a mix of relief that others are speaking and the lingering pain of her own experience. Then, she found her voice, stronger this time, though still tinged with vulnerability. She spoke of the fear that had gripped her earlier, the cold dread that today, after everything, she might lose the very job she loved. Her eyes fill slightly as she speaks. When he did that, all I could think was, what if I lose my license? My job? This is more than just a job. It's who I am. I love being a nurse. I love my patients. I love most of the people I work with. It just hurts when the system is supposed to support you, and it feels like it's actively trying to break you. Evelyn listened, not with the analytical mind of a CEO reviewing data, but with the heart of a human being hearing profound struggle. She saw the passion beneath the exhaustion, the dedication forged in fire. The numbers she'd been tracking suddenly had faces, stories, raw emotions. Evelyn then spoke, her voice calm, measured, but filled with genuine conviction. I don't have all the answers right this second. Change this deep takes time, root and branch. But I promise you this. What you have told me today, what I have witnessed, it fundamentally changes how I see things, how we will operate. There will be more support, more resources, and crucially, there will be visible, active advocacy from leadership for you. Our priority is shifting. It's not just about efficiency scores anymore. It's about the well-being of the people who provide the care. It's about trust. It's about building a system that supports its healers, not grinds them down. She made eye contact with each nurse in turn, a silent vow passing between them. It was a moment of connection, a bridge built across the hierarchy, promising a future where their voices wouldn't just be heard, but actively valued. The journey back to being a sanctuary had begun, forged in empathy and the raw honesty of those who live the reality on the front lines. The heart-to-heart conversations were just the beginning. Dr. Evelyn Reed didn't just listen. She acted with the same decisive force that had shocked the floor. In the weeks that followed, the hospital network began to see the ripple effects of her undercover mission. New, transparent guidelines for error reporting and investigation were swiftly established, emphasizing understanding over blame. Leadership training, focused on fostering teamwork and mutual respect, was rolled out hospital-wide, a stark contrast to the previous culture of dismissal. And for Nurse Sophia, the journey from despair in a supply closet to a position of influence was swift and earned. Recognizing her quiet strength and dedication, Evelyn promoted her to charge nurse, empowering her to actively help redesign staff support programs and mentorship initiatives, ensuring that future nurses wouldn't face the isolation she had endured. A few weeks later, walking back onto that same floor, Evelyn saw a visible transformation. The air felt lighter. The hurried movements were still there. It was a busy hospital, but the tension had eased. Patients and nurses alike shared more smiles. Hushed, anxious whispers were replaced by collaborative conversations. Trust, the foundation that had crumbled under pressure and blame, was slowly, painstakingly being rebuilt, one honest interaction at a time. This story, the story of a CEO disguised, of a nurse's quiet suffering, and of a system brought to light, hold a lesson far beyond these hospital walls. Healthcare, at its core, runs on compassion. Not just compassion for the patient served, but compassion for the incredible, dedicated people who dedicate their lives to providing that care, often under immense pressure. True leadership doesn't sit behind closed doors, relying solely on data and reports. It means stepping out, stepping in, and standing beside your team. It means seeing their reality, understanding their struggles, and recognizing their invaluable worth. Sometimes, the most profound and necessary change any institution needs starts with the courage to truly listen, and then the courage to act on what you hear. This is how we heal organizations, just as we heal people. Because a healthy system isn't just measured in numbers. It's measured in the well-being and trust of the people who make it run.